All right, guys, so we have an update on the fugitive Democrats from Texas whom flew to Washington, D.C. on private jets, maskless, okay, to protest in favor of legislation that they know is not going to pass in D.C. and they also know is going to pass in Texas, as two more of them have tested positive for COVID. Okay, so if you guys remember, a couple days ago, it was 3. And now they have 2 more, so a total of 5. Now, this was kind of a big deal, obviously, because of the hypocrisy and the irony associated with them testing positive for COVID, but also because, you know, some of them may or may not have come in contact with Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala's office, right, tried to play this down, right? They tried to say, oh, she didn't really come in close contact, even though they was in the same room. No big deal. She doesn't need a test. Next thing that we know, she's making this visit to Walter Reed Hospital, in which they say, oh, no, don't worry about it, it's just a regular visit, you know, it was scheduled, blah blah blah, whatever, right? And apparently, allegedly, she may have been tested, okay, and it seems that tests have come out negative, right? So she definitely probably was in more contact than they initially tried to let on. And like I told you guys, the worst thing that would happen for the Democrats at this point is for Kamala or Joe Biden to test positive after this stupid stunt and this failed stunt, really, from the Democrats. Now, here's the thing. This failed stunt from the Democrats is really turning out to be a really, really bad PR move for them, because it really is just a giant waste of time and a giant waste of money, which is typical of the Democrats, right? The Democrats are good at wasting time and they're good at wasting money, as this trip is going to cost nearly $1.5 million. Yes, $1.5 million for them to essentially accomplish nothing. Okay, this is insane, right? So there's a nice little write-up here for the Daily Caller that's based off an NBC News article that's a lot longer than what I want to read. So I'm gonna read this, and let's figure out what's going on here. Texas Democrats stunt to block an election security bill by fleeing the state for Washington, D.C. is expected to cost around $1.5 million. The state lawmaker leading fundraising efforts for the Democrats said Monday. More than 50 Democratic members of the state House fled to the nation's capital last week to prevent Republicans from advancing a sweeping election security bill during a special legislative session. The state legislature requires a quorum of 2/3 of lawmakers to be present in order to conduct business in the chamber. Democratic State Representative Armando Wall said in an interview that the cost of keeping Democrats outside the state until the special session ends August 7th will cost around $1.5 million, NBC News reported. Democrats are not using taxpayer dollars for the stunt, but are instead financing the cost with personal credit cards and through fundraising efforts, lawmakers said. Okay, so I'm going to address the whole not using taxpayer dollars, because that's not exactly true. Okay, I'll address that in a little bit. Wall said the private charter jets the majority of lawmakers flew on to Washington, D.C. cost more than $100,000 and were paid for by a wire transfer from the state House Democratic caucus hours before takeoff, NBC News reported. Other expenses included housing, food, and other transportation costs. Wow, $100,000 to take private jets, maskless. Now I forget to mention, to Washington, D.C. $100,000. Okay, couldn't take commercial airlines. That would have been a fraction of the cost. Nope. Got to go private. I'm telling you, man, these Democrats. Texas Democrats booked a number of hotels at DC Hotel using a member's personal American Express card, one lawmaker said, adding that members are expected to be reimbursed. Wall also said the State House Democratic Caucus has received around $250,000 in donations and other financial commitments, NBC News reported. Former Democratic Texas Representative Beto O'Rourke said last week his voting rights group, Powered by the People, raised more than $500,000 for the lawmakers in the first 2 days after they fled, according to the Dallas Morning News. Wow. So you had enough dummies send in over $500,000 to support a trip that is going to literally accomplish nothing. Right? This is what I try to tell you. Democrats live off of the ignorance of their base, right? I mean, come on. You're dope. Like, they raised $500,000 for this scam. $500,000. Okay? I mean, more than that. I mean, they say they got, what, 250,000 here? Okay? Guys, I mean, they're raising money off of this. And this is what this has always been about, guys. It's always been about money. These politicians, and this happens on both sides. I'm going to keep it a whole buck with you. But this happens on both sides. These politicians will go out here, they will grandstand, they will do nothing, right? They know the legislation is not going to pass. They know they're not going to do what they're saying they're doing, and they will make money off of it, right? They will fundraise off of it. After it's done, they're sending you an email saying, can you help us do X, Y, and Z? Just donate, right? This is what they're doing. And guys, just imagine what all that money, how many IDs they could have paid people to go get. With over $1 million, how many IDs could they have paid people to go get for them to vote? Nope. They rather use it for their extravagant trips out to Washington, D.C. The NAACP is also raising money to support the Texas Democrats. The group's president, Derek Johnson, promised a bail fund for the lawmakers in case they are arrested upon returning to Texas, according to The Hill. Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott threatened to have the lawmakers arrested when they ultimately returned to the state during an interview with Fox News host Laura Ingraham. Quote, there is no excuse for their PR stunt, and I join thousands of Texans in demanding that these Democrats get back to work, Abbott said in a recent statement, according to the Associated Press. All right, guys. So about those taxpayer dollars, right? Because I told you guys I was getting to that. There's this idea that what they're just paying for it with donations. They're not gonna pay for it with any taxpayer dollars. Don't worry about it. Taxpayer is not footing the bill. Actually, taxpayer is footing the bill because it costs money to run a special session. Let's see. How much does it cost for the Texas legislator to run a special session? While numbers can vary, estimates say it costs more than $1 million. A special session in Texas can last no more than 30 days, and while it can end before that threshold, every day it goes on means more tax dollars. Representative Aaron Ziner says estimates for a full 30-day session could cost up to $1.3 million, according to the Legislative Budget Board. Lawmakers make $600 per month plus a per diem of $221 every day. The session continues. Quote, if we gavel out early, we will not continue to collect per diem, Ziner said. So it could cost less if we get our work done quickly, but if we work the whole 30 days, $1.3 million. During the regular session, Governor Greg Abbott vetoed the part of the state budget bill that would fund the Texas legislator. He did in protest after Democrats left the chamber in protest of a bill that would change the election rules in the state. But Abbott says he will let the legislator look at restoring their funding during this session. Okay, so yeah, these guys definitely gonna want to get paid. I mean, come on now. So with that being said, guys, Democrats are doing this on taxpayer dime because because it's not free to run the government, right? Because Governor Greg Abbott called that special session in, right, in which he had to do that in response to them leaving. Now the taxpayers are footing the bill for every single day that they're gone, right? Every single day they're gone, taxpayers have to foot that bill. And they're sitting here trying to act like, oh no, don't worry about it. Taxpayers are not paying for it. Again, Democrats thrive off of stupidity. That's what they do. And again, if you're in Texas right now, right? If you're a Texas citizen, how can you see something like this and not be absolutely pissed, right? Because regardless of whether or not you agree with the legislation is going to pass. It's going to pass. Only thing they're doing at this point is wasting money and fundraising off idiots. That's all they're doing. They're wasting taxpayer dollars and fundraising off idiots. They're wasting time. They're wasting resources, right? Because they know that the legislation is going to pass. The For the People Act, they're not passing that in Congress, right? At the federal level. So ultimately, they're wasting millions of dollars and they've accomplished nothing. Again, this is what the Democrats do. This is their specialty, wasting money and accomplishing nothing. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.